start the programme today with an aim, a story that I can't get out of my head. The campaign has now started. This is your chance. Tell people this is the Politics Hub. It's not correct. The tax burden is projected to go up.
No,
but I'm not. This is my interview. Look, this is ridiculous.
No one does care about us.
I'm really interested in that. On the Politics Hub, we like to push the boundaries. He's got the majority. The question is, what is he going to do with it?
You are watching the press preview, a first look at what's on the front pages as they arrive. It's time to see what's making the headlines with political commentator Tim Montgomery and Daily Mirror columnist Susie Boniface. They'll be with us from now until just before midnight. So let's see what's on some of those front pages for you now. Well, The Guardian leads on Education Secretary Bridget Phillipson's willingness to abolish the two-child benefit cap if she becomes deputy leader of the Labour Party. Its headline, two-child benefit cap is spiteful. The Eye reports on Rachel Reeves' decision to keep the triple lock in place, despite warnings from MPs and economists. The FT is leading on Starmer's digital ID plan as he presses ahead in the hopes it will help in tackling illegal migration. The Telegraph's front page has a claim from Kemi Badenoch that Keir Starmer is giving Hamas a reward for terrorism through his recognition of a Palestinian state. And the Express also leading on migration, this time focusing on Sir Keir Starmer's one-in, one-out scheme, which came into effect 5 days ago. On the front of the Mail, NATO warplanes intercept Putin's jets over Estonia. The headline on the front of the Times, China given licence to spy, looking at the warning from Speaker of the House that the failure to prosecute suspects in the Westminster case opens the door to foreign agents. The Sun is leading on the story that the police detectives have flown to Portugal to question friends of the prime suspect into the disappearance of Madeleine McCann. The Mirror leads on Louis Tomlinson and how he was duped into a £4 million fraudster's plot. And the Daily Star is backing campaigns for a statue of boxing legend Ricky Hatton to be erected in his hometown of Hyde. And we are joined tonight by Tim Montgomery and Susie Boniface. Welcome to both of you. Let's start with the Mail front page. Headline there, NATO warplanes intercept Putin's jets over Estonia. This not the first incursion of Russian jets into Estonia, but by all accounts, a very audacious bid this time round.
Well, I think was it a week or two ago that we had Russia basically infringing upon Poland with missile attacks, the sort of stray missile attacks. And now we have this. And it's been the week of the state visit, Donald Trump's visit to the UK, where we had the King prodding the president to do a little bit more against Putin. It's almost like we're now waiting. I think I'm a little bit more sympathetic to Trump than you, Susie. I think that would not be wrong to state. But I think it's sort of at the point now whereby what does Putin need to do to actually get a reaction from Trump? Because he's behaving really very irresponsibly now to NATO members. And he's saying to just really seeing how far he can push the West without getting a reaction. It shouldn't take further sort of intrusion into NATO states for a reaction. What Putin has done in Ukraine should be more than enough for the West to accelerate sanctions against Russia, to arm Ukraine properly. But the best way, I think, of responding to Putin's misbehaviour in Estonia and other places now is to do what Trump so far has failed to do, and that's properly arm Ukraine.
You mentioned Trump. Let's take a listen to what he said this evening regarding Estonia now.
Well, I'm going to have to look at it. They're going to be briefing me in a short while, so I'll let you know about it tonight or tomorrow.
What's your take in general? Just being
I don't love it. I don't love it. I don't like it when that happens. It could be big trouble, but I'll let you know later. They're going to brief me in about an hour.
And a follow-up.
Susie,
Once they've shown him on a map where Estonia is.
He says he doesn't love it. There could be big trouble.
Well, for those, Estonia is at the extremity of northern Europe and Russia and where it meets, up on the Baltic Sea. It's a long way away from Ukraine, over in the southeast corner of Europe. What seems to have happened is that Putin, who is pretty bogged down in Ukraine, and although does seem to have the upper hand, it's costing him so much to win that 3 years on, or whatever it is, into that war, he's not going to have the victory that he initially wanted. And he is now pushing somewhere else, and he's pushing up against NATO. And this is equivalent to flying jets over Scotland, right? It's a NATO country, and you have sent the jets into airspace, not by accident, not infringing it along the side, bang straight across as though you're pointing it straight at Edinburgh or something like that. That is the kind of thing that the NATO pact says we react to and we will shoot you down. And what happened in this particular instance was that some F-35s were scrambled from Italy, which were the nearest ones, apparently, to try and sort of see off this incursion. And it all sort of boiled down, died down, and that's as it should do. It de-escalated. But it does indicate that Putin is pushing Europe on the edges and going, where can I get you? And Lithuania, Latvia, Estonia, these Baltic countries up on the edge of Europe, they're all in NATO, they're all protected by us, they're all former Soviet republics which Putin and his followers believe should be part of his Russia. And they nestle around a little Russian enclave called Kaliningrad, which is entirely separated from Russia, but is this tiny port city which remains Russian. And the only way that it has connections with Russia is to go over the top of these countries or through pipelines or around the sea or something else. And if there's any way that Putin can say Kaliningrad has had some kind of incursion or it's having its supplies or services blocked or cut off by one of the NATO countries, he's just going to roll the tanks right in. And that's where World War III starts. So what's happened here is very, very reckless, and it's also very deliberate. And I think it's something that we should all be really very scared about. It's easily the biggest story of the day. And just after Trump's been here as well, it's not...
But Tim, are we going to see further response from NATO?
Further, I don't think we've seen any real response apart from the scrambling of the jets that we've seen so far. And this was a 12-minute oversight of Estonian airspace. It wasn't sort of an accidental flirting with the jet passing by. This was 12 minutes. This was a deliberate provocation. Russia is testing us. And the danger, of course, is one thing is absolutely right, that there should be a response. There should be a response of the kind that I've already outlined. But the danger, of course, is this is, wars often happen or can happen by accident. What happens if, rather than no response in a scrambling of jets from Italy, anti-aircraft missiles are activated by this, intrusion into a NATO country's airspace. Russian jets are shot down. How does then the Kremlin feel it needs to respond? So this is, Susie's absolutely right. This is not a small story because we are talking from a position of it all having not taken off in inverted commas tonight, but it could have done. Yeah. If there had been an anti-aircraft response triggered by an unknown, incursion, this could have been a much more serious incident we've been discussing
the same thing could have happened last week when the drones went over Poland and they shot some of the drones down. If there had been some kind of an accident and they didn't shoot a drone down, a drone managed to land somewhere or blow up by accident or cause some other kind of... It could all go horribly wrong very, very quickly.
And also, 2 Russian jets have made a show of force over a Polish oil platform in the Baltic Sea as well, on top of this.
You almost think that Putin's laughing at us at the moment and saying, are you ever going to do anything in response to me?
What people need to remember is that Putin's economy, since this war in Ukraine, has been built entirely around the military and military manufacturing. He's got more kit and equipment than he can possibly use in Ukraine, and he can't not use it, he can't sell it, and he can't stop producing it because his economy collapses, his regime then collapses. So he has to keep on producing war materials, and he has to go and find somewhere to use them.
Yeah.
Just want to end up with a quote from MI6 Chief Sir Richard Moore, saying the Russian president called him a liar who wants to impose his imperial will by all means at his disposal. Let's move on to domestic matters now and have a look at the weekend. This story regarding MPs secretly wanting to kill UK state pension triple lock. Is this under discussion, do we think, in this budget coming up?
I'm sure it's under discussion with every budget that they've had since the Tories introduced the triple lock, because it makes you a hostage to fortune. You have an ageing population. You have guaranteed that the pension is going to rise every year by the highest of 3 different figures, and you have to keep finding more money for a group of people who are no longer earning money, and most of them aren't contributing any tax. So that is just really unsustainable, just flat out. It was done for political reasons by David Cameron and George Osborne to start with, and now we find here former Treasury Minister, Conservative one, David Gauke, is urging Rachel Reeves to abandon it totally and challenge the other parties to back her doing it. Now, at some point, a party is going to have to make that decision, and it's going to be electorally very, very unwelcome to all those people who either know a pensioner, have a pensioner in their families, or are a pensioner. But it's not sustainable. We don't have the younger population, the tax-paying population, to support it. So, but no politician is going to be brave enough to do it, I feel.
I don't think Susie's told the full story, although I think we've ended up in the same place in agreement on what needs to be done next. It used to be one of the shames of our country that pensioners in Britain were some of the lowest paid people in our society. You know, they didn't have enough to really survive on. You know, compared to most European countries, we used to treat our pensioners appallingly. The thing is, through policies like this, which of course had a political motivation, but it had a fundamental motivation as well, we brought pensioners' income up. Year after year, they started to be paid properly, or remunerated properly, however you want to describe it. But now our pensioners, on average, are better off than the average working household. And so a policy that was designed to quite correctly address an injustice, none of us want our granny and granddads to be, you know, struggling to make ends meet, is now gone too far. I'm afraid, if you want, you know, I'm simplifying, but basically there are 2 times as many pensioners as young people, and they're twice as likely to vote. So a politician taking on pensioners' benefits at the moment is a very brave politician. I'm afraid, Gillian, we will tackle this when Britain has a financial crisis, when it's almost too late, when the budget doesn't add up anymore and the bond markets have reacted badly. That's when we'll tackle this. I can't see a politician brave enough to tackle it until that moment comes.
Economists now describing it as irresponsible and indeed idiotic in its current form.
It could be sold as a policy which did its job, which worked, and is now no longer needed because pensioners are so wealthy.
We've just got
Good luck with that. That's your political pitch.
We've just got about a minute to do the Guardian front page. 2-child benefit cap is spiteful, says a minister, and that minister being Bridget Phillipson. Tim.
Yeah, well, Bridget Phillipson is one of the 2 contenders in the Labour leadership race. She's behind, according to the little opinion polling evidence we have, but Lucy Powell, who was sacked by Keir Starmer, looks like she's ahead in this race. Partly, I think, because this race has become a sort of way of bashing Keir Starmer on the nose from Labour members who are unhappy with the Labour government's popularity. One thing that is very unpopular with Labour members is this 2-child benefit cap, and this, I think, is a way of the Education Secretary trying to get back in this race and to show that she isn't in Keir Starmer's pocket and will stand up to him.
Susie, you've got about 20 seconds.
That's also Keir Starmer's pick for the job, so I doubt she said that without his approval. So it's interesting that we've still got the 2-child benefit cap a year on, and apparently he would think it's spiteful, one assumes.
Susie and Tim, thank you so much for taking us through the papers thus far. Coming up, the stories we'll be discussing, this on the front of the Financial Times. Its headline, Starmer gives green light to digital ID plan. Do stay with us.
What might happen if Russia attacked the UK?
This is clearly an enormous show of force.
It is definitely out of the ordinary.
We ran a war game with former ministers back in the hot seat.
Ben Wallace.
Amber Rudd.
Jack Straw.
It's the kind of war game that's genuinely tested inside government.
The Russians are signalling that there may be an attack.
Russia knows our weaknesses, but do you? I'm Deborah Haynes. From Sky News and Tortoise, this is The War Game. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Sky News has been given exclusive data showing every Palestinian who has been killed in Gaza since the war began. Our analysis of this pattern in the killings suggests that entire families were wiped out in their homes or shelters. The data and forensics team is a multi-skilled unit dedicated to providing transparent journalism from Sky News.
We located footage of the aid drop to a tent camp in central Gaza. these airdrops are falling in extremely populated areas.
We combine traditional reporting with advanced analysis of satellite imagery, social media, and other open source information. Now, this is just one of the strikes and incidents we've been able to geolocate across Gaza. Sky News has found Nazi speeches and marching music have been used as background sound on tens of thousands of TikTok videos as far-right groups try and spread their message. Sky News has seen 72,000 posts used in this way. There's no evidence yet of foul play at Heathrow. It shows weaknesses that enemies could take advantage of. Elon Musk says it is, quote, a viper's nest of radical left Marxists who hate America. Supporters say it saves lives and projects American power and influence.
I think we would generally be called far-right, sure.
It's called Return to the Land, and they invited me in.
A lot of people are going to be, why are you making Nazi references? Right. Well, why wouldn't I?
Its founder says he is building a fortress for the white race.
It's a racial association. I kind of want to ask you, after seeing this, do you think what we're doing is immoral?
We followed a social media trail that led us to Bristol, where a confrontation between protesters erupted into a full-scale riot.
Here it really is pitched battle skirmishes, hurling missiles, throwing punches.
I'm Tom Cheshire, Sky's data and forensics correspondent.
I witnessed the complete destruction of a place linked to my childhood memories.
This is insane.
I'm Yusra Al-Bagher, Sky's Africa correspondent based in Johannesburg, South Africa. I felt awe when we saw the mountain gorillas in Rwanda.
We call him the king of the jungle. This is the alpha silverback.
Sky News, get the full story first.
I'm Dominic Waghorn, Sky's International Affairs Editor, covering a world that seems to be unravelling.
It's not his country, it's ours.
Sky News, the full story first, free wherever you get your news. It's half an hour now past the deadline that Hamas issued, and we've now seen a third barrage of rockets coming in.
Welcome back. You are watching the press preview. Still with me, Tim Montgomery and Susie Boniface. Let's take a look at this story on the front of the FT weekend. And it's about Sir Keir Starmer giving the green light to a digital ID plan. He's pressing ahead with the introduction of digital IDs as he tries to get a grip on illegal migration. Susie.
Yeah, there's supposed to be an announcement expected of some sort at party conference. And, I'm old enough to remember under the last Labour government, when David Blunkett, who was Home Secretary then, and Tony Blair suggested bringing in digital ID cards, the Daily Mail and others were in uproar. How dare they want to give us our personal data to the government? We don't know what they're going to do with it. Didn't like the idea at all now. But as it points out in this story, we all carry in our pockets a device filled with our personal data.
Yep.
It gets stolen. It's protected by a biometric fingerprint. We have our faces read by it using AI. Most people are completely OK with this. And I think in the 20 years since all that outrage, although reform is not bang alongside this, and some people won't be, I think the general public will go, OK, fine, it's just another app, it's another thumbprint, it's another thing.
Polling's found that 53% of the public are in favour of digital identification.
Well, I've always been a bit of an authoritarian, so I was in favour of ID cards in the first time as well. And I think the French have a point, really. One of the things they say about the attraction for migrants coming to the UK is that people can disappear into our labour market because there's no form of ID often necessary in order to get a job. So the objection from my party, I don't support my party, the Reform Party's position on this. I think it's worth the risk to try and get a control of illegal immigration, but is the cost of introducing this, because we do know that most government schemes have a habit of overrunning in costs. That's the objection. But in principle, I have no objection at all. And I think it could become one of the big sort of debating points of the autumn, that this rollout of this policy as a way of fighting illegal immigration.
It could be a way of tackling illegal working, ensuring proper taxes are paid, stuff like this. It should pay for itself over time.
For once, we are in agreement, Susie.
Gosh.
We've got a statement from a government spokesperson on this saying we're committed to using tech to make it easier for people to interact with the state, learning from other countries on how best to deliver this for citizens. We will look at any serious proposals that would help people access public services, including digital ID. That's a government spokesperson. Let's talk about the royals now. And the Express, the White House could invite them, following on from the very successful state visit.
I don't think you could stop Donald Trump inviting Kate, Catherine and William to attend. After he got plonked next to her at the Windsor Castle State dinner, and she absolutely charmed the pants off him.
You probably don't have that picture, but that picture of Trump looking at Catherine, they were sort of... It was an amazing picture, wasn't it?
Yeah, it just looked awful. I'm sure he's probably already invited her 3 or 4 times before he got on the chopper. And whether or not it actually goes ahead, I suppose, will depend on perhaps if there's some more deals to be signed in return and the other way and all the rest of it. But I do... It's one of those times where you're glad you've got a royal family to do this kind of dirty work that no one else really should be put to. And they are finally earning their money, but they do, you know...
Can we just say...
They get a life of luxury in return.
If we were doing this paper review a week ago, we would have all been, is it going to work out? Malleson's sort of, resignation or sacking. And actually, let's just say, this was an absolute triumph for the British state. It really worked well. Even if you don't agree with it all, it worked to wonders. And actually, engagement with Trump has helped mean that we've got a multi-billion pound investment in AI in this country. And so I'm not a Labour supporter, but this engagement with Trump, even though I'm sure Keir Starmer has found it very difficult on occasions, is actually paying some economic dividends. So I won't say this often, but well done, Keir Starmer.
Oh, we'll leave it on that positive note, shall we? Thank you both for the moment, Susie and Tim. Let's take a look at the weather for you now. Well, the weather will turn cooler over the weekend as high pressure builds to the west of the UK. This will bring more settled conditions, but also a cold northerly flow. This morning, a rain belt lies across the country from the northeast to the southwest, separating the chilly air in the north from the mild and muggy air in the south. The rain belt itself will begin to edge south and east through the day, bringing a spell of heavier rain to central parts of England. East Anglia and the southeast will see the best of the warm sunshine, with temperatures expected to top 20 Celsius. Coastal showers over Scotland and Ireland will spread inland on a brisk northerly wind, and it will feel cold with lower temperatures. Coming up next on Sky News at 11, all the latest as an elderly British couple detained in Afghanistan are freed.
We arrive. A secret hospital hidden in the Myanmar jungle, treating the victims of this bloody war. This is Myanmar today. Its military rulers don't want the world to see, but we have.
I fight for my own future. I fight for my generation's futures.
This is an actual crime.
They don't care for that.
Myanmar army is only a couple of kilometers away.
So this is a major humanitarian disaster.
I want to start the programme today with a name, a story that I can't get out of my head. The campaign has now started. This is your chance. Tell people this is the Politics Hub. It's not correct. The tax burden is projected to go up.
No,
but I'm not. This is my interview. Look, this is ridiculous.
No one does care about us.
I'm really interested in that. On the Politics Hub, we like to push the boundaries. He's got the majority. The question is, what is he going to do with it?
It's 11 o'clock. This is Sky News' extended press preview. Our top story. On their way home, an elderly British couple